Let's talk about theatrical outrage. Let's talk about cowardice in high office. Let's talk bluntly about Jenrick and about bullshit. And not the made-up manufactured sort that Mr. Jenrick claims to abhor, but the very real institutional, moral bullshit he himself helped shovel when he sat silently in the room as the Afghan data leak was exposed. That scandal, the leaking of names and the locations of up to 100,000 Afghans who risked their lives for British forces, happened under his watch. Jenrick was there. He was in the room. He could have used parliamentary privilege to speak out if he felt so strongly. He could have demanded accountability. He said nothing, and now he wishes to claim the moral high ground. No, sir. That ground collapsed under his feet long ago. And this week, Azir Yusuf, not a man I particularly like, former chair of Reform UK and now head of its Doge unit, has rightly been criticised for liking, or as he claims, his team liking, a deeply racist and anti-Semitic tweet. The post, authored by an anonymous far-right account, labelled Jenrick a traitorous Zog bot with a Jewish wife and contained a stomach-turning reference to brown savages. It's a grotesque tweet. I've seen it. There's no defence of its content. None. Now, Yusuf's apology is familiar social media choreography: accidental likes, staff error, condemnation of racism, the usual script. Whether one believes him or not is frankly a secondary matter, because Jenrick's fury is not about anti-Semitism, it's about opportunism. And here is the hypocrisy. Jenrick's sudden righteous indignation about a social media like from someone outside his party stands in direct contrast to his own silence when Afghan allies were imperiled. Jenrick called bullshit on Yusuf's apology, and in doing so reminded us that he is full of it. Where was this urgency, this moral certitude, when Afghan interpreters, real human beings, were betrayed by a British ministry's incompetence? Where was this robust defence of dignity when those names were left vulnerable to Taliban reprisals? What Yusuf said about Jenrick's complicity in the Arab scandal was right. Jenrick had a chance to speak truth, to defy a super injunction, to honour those who bled in the dust for us, and he bottled it. He has been caught now, not in a scandal, but in a tantrum. But this episode reveals something deeper: the absurd, often dishonest world of online discourse. We're now criminalising likes as political statements. I, like many, have liked posts I disagree with, to acknowledge a clever point, an important thread, or simply to acknowledge the effort someone has made to speak, to add a post at all. Social media rewards brevity, not nuance. In that ecosystem, likes can be iconic, ambivalent, or accidental. The idea that a like is tantamount to endorsement is intellectually lazy, and we need to grow up. And Jenrick, of all people, should know better. Or perhaps he does, and perhaps to weaponize moral outrage to deflect from his own failings. That's what he's doing. Azir Yusuf should apologize. He has. Whether that apology is believed is a question of character, his and ours. But Robert Jenrick has no business calling anyone a traitor. Not when he was silent in the room, not when he could have acted, not. His attack is not about anti-Semitism, it's about distraction from his guilt, from his silence, from the blood-stained consequences of his inaction. Here is somebody who, he has talent. Of course he does. He's one of the few people who can stand up in the House of Commons and talk without a script. He has a memory. He's good at that. He has a memory. In fact, I can think of one or two other people who have a memory, who are good at reciting things, like Alex Belfield. He has a memory. It doesn't make him a good or a benign person, does it? The same can be said about Robert Jenrick. There, I've drawn a parallel between Robert Jenrick and Alex Belfield. I wonder if I'll get into trouble for that. The truth is, the tweet that Yusuf liked was disgusting. But the way our government abandoned Afghan allies is unforgivable. And it's continuing to do so. And between those two, I'll tell you where the real bullshit lies.